stage. So the Ice Cave and Ordeals become bigger gambles because there's simply no guaranteed need to go there. Now, it may turn out that they have an important plot gateway item like the slab or the chime, and that people will eventually find their way there. But they won't have to go, and they're not guaranteed to get anything out of it. So it becomes a riskier proposition.
And our runners are off. Just waiting for the stream to catch up.
And we've got Will making a beeline for the black magic, and we've got level 1 fast, and Zap is your only AoE.
So not too bad when you have multiple spellcasters. The instant death spells, you can finish off an enemy combat group in one round if you have multiple people throwing it out there.
Yeah, Zap is a very high-level time elemental AoE instant death spell, and it is pretty effective, especially in the early game. You're not going to find too many enemies that resist it. So you should see these imps fall rather quickly to Zap.
And looks like Sforzando is just going to book it across the bridge. Zap also works very well against the pirates.
Yeah, the experience multiplier is set to 4 times in this stage, which we affectionately refer to as LOL XP. So it really does help you level up your party pretty quickly without specifically targeting the high EXP fights. So there's a good case for grinding early if you want some extra cash, maybe something from Corneria, but there's nothing wrong with just pushing ahead and zapping everyone along the way.
And due to the low flat rate bonus, I think the flat rate bonus is completely turned off. The imp grind isn't as lucrative as it normally is. With 5 times plus 500, you go right up to level 4 after one 5 imp fight. But you need to actually take out, I think it looked like 2 imp groups in order to get level 2.
And Sforzando wastes no time engaging the pirates.
Sforzando also making it to level 2 after taking out an iguana, one of the better early game enemies to roll over if you have the experience set the way it is.
Yeah, we've got full enemy shuffling on with the stats, the skills, the spells, and the status attacks. So we do have a situation where, you know, as we like to say, if you want imps with nuke, that's how you get imps with nuke. Any enemy could have virtually any skill. So sometimes that makes the pirates a really nasty fight, but with all the zapping going on, they shouldn't pose too much of a threat.
And looks like Zelnop is gonna take his money and use Garland as a warp, so he'll pick up that loot early. And Sforzando has the ship, so Will also gonna roll over Garland here.
Question from chat, what's the range on the stats? The range tonight is between 45% and 220%, but that applies only to some of the stats, and other ones are closer to 1. So, for example, HP can be anywhere between 45 and 220%, but things like enemy attack and magic resist don't get scaled as aggressively, so they'll be closer to 100%.
Looks like heal potions are relatively cheap this time around.
Softs, on the other hand, are a bit expensive. And we've got Ice 3 at level 2, so that's really what everybody was looking for. Now they've got the instant death, tons of charges, and then they've got a really high power AoE spell. Ice 3 being second place on the Black Mage side after Nuke.
Yeah, not as critical to pick up since you're not dealing with nearly as many water elementals as you would in a Defeat Chaos run, but still, no one's going to turn it down, and it's going to pay off big time in the Volcano.
It's also the kind of spell that you can spam at the Fiends, too, if, you know, for lack of a better one between now and then.
So it looks like Sforzando is picking up fast on all the Black Mages as well. Not a bad pickup, just in case he finds Masmune somewhere along the run.
We see a Pro Ring and Matoya's, nice piece of hand armor that provides resistance to death attacks. It's actually the best piece of hand armor in the game, and anyone can equip it, so lovely little diamond in the rough there.
Yeah, quite frequently you'll end the game with 4 Pro Rings. Most runners are willing to shell out the large amount of money that they cost in shops just because of how good and how efficient that piece of armor is.
And now Sforzando finishes spelunking through the Temple of Fiends, and he's also going to blow away Garland to get the cheap warp back. Pick up the loot back in Corneria.
Yep, and Sforzando having a more reliable way to deal with Garland. I have definitely fought Garland enough where, ooh, and he is not going to pick up that loot because he doesn't have to, since you don't need to move the plate either.
And $870 silver swords, which aren't going to be of any use because no one can equip them until that thief becomes a ninja, and hopefully before then you've got something better than that. Sforzando about to make it to the Dwarf Cave, and we'll see what they've got.
Also, Fire 2 in the Black Magic shop in Provoca as well, and we'll pick up a few casts of that. Be good to have something that is not Ice Elemental when you're diving the Ice Cave.
Yeah, against enemies without any resistances, Fire 2 is like half the damage of Ice 3. But when resistances come into play, of course, it can eclipse it, especially with enemies that resist Ice and happen to be vulnerable to Fire. It's about as good as it gets. You see Zelnop taking the time to pick up some cloth here. What do you feel about that? Is it worth the effort?
I wouldn't go with the cloth on the mages, but for the thief, I would definitely like to pick up some wooden armor. The damage reduction early is worth it against enemies in the Marsh Cave, just because I'm thinking of gargoyles in particular. Any of the enemies that have multiple hits but are weak will suffer reduced damage output with the extra absorb.
And speaking of Marsh Cave, since the Dwarf's Cave didn't have anything interesting, you can bet that's where we're headed next.
So it looks like Sforzando has enough money to pick up the bottle right now if he chose to, but he's gonna check out the armor shop first, and copper bracelets are even better than wooden armor, and he's gonna pick up a full set for everybody.
Yeah, put that cloth to shame. Zelnop will be saddened to see that when he gets there.
Comment in chat, Zap is better than Bane, but not positive. Zap is resisted by less things than Bane. In fact, I think Chaos is the only enemy that resists Time Element, right?
That sounds good to me. I know that Zap's pretty popular all the way through the game. Chaos basically resists everything.
Yeah. Bane is more accurate, but its poison element is resisted by more things, and then Quake is about as accurate but resisted by more things, and then everyone hates Rub.
Yeah, Quake being Earth Elemental is resisted in this game by like everything that flies and everything that's in water. So there's tons of stuff it doesn't work against. And at least it's easy to remember. It can be a little trickier to remember at first what all resists Bane, but it also has a lot of things that resist it.
Will not having enough money for the bottle, but is making note of it. And Sforzando is going to dive Ice Cave while Xandnop realizes, hey, there's nothing in the Dwarf Cave this time.
The legendary Marsh Cave, tons of enemies in here that have increased chance to ambush you. And that's why it's so hated. And all the undead tend to resist ice too.
So the exact situation you were referring to earlier, Shadows having resistance against ice, Fire 2 stands a better shot of one-shotting them, although it looks like they rolled a little on the high side of HP.
Yeah, those Ice 3s weren't doing too much, though, because of that aforementioned resist. So it's a shame that, Sforzando saw the Ice 3 and the Fire 2 and only pulled the trigger on the higher level spell, because this is one of those places where it would have been handy to have Fire 2. And he should have known, he was coming here. There was a pretty good chance, too. Oh, well, you can forget about that now. He just picked up the Light Axe.
Yeah, free harm 2 on a stick, nothing to complain about, and he thinks that's good enough to walk it out, and I kind of agree with him. Between the the Light Axe and the levels he's going to get defeating things on the way out, it's probably not a bad idea to walk this out.
Yeah, he also had Fire 3 at level 3, so it's curious that he busted out the ice against the Shadows when he could have torched them. So that's an interesting choice there.
And it looks like the werewolves had Bane and wiped out Will's party, so he has to take a reset, but fortunately he ran into that encounter at the entrance, so a minimum of time lost.
Xandnop sails all the way to Elfland and then remembers to equip the cloths that he bought in Provoca and doesn't check the armor shop in Elfland either. So a couple of little mistakes there, because he'd probably rather have those copper bracelets.
Question in chat, what is the goal here? The goal is to defeat the Phantom enemy in Temple of Fiends Revisited, so all 4 Fiends need to die, but you do not need the, you potentially do not need the crown. You may need it if another progression item is locked behind a Mystic Key locked door, but it's not required to finish the game in most of the seeds.
So in other words, you basically have to beat the first 90% of the game, because the Phantom is a mandatory encounter near the beginning of the final dungeon, the Temple of Fiends Revisited. But at that point, as soon as you defeat him, done, it's over. You don't have to go the rest of the way. You might see some of the runners attempt it, but with a party as low level as they're going to get there with, for the purposes of speed, they probably stand no chance except just for the sheer amusement of it. Having said that, the last 10% of this game is generally the hardest, of course, so the first 90% makes it a much faster stage than you would anticipate. It doesn't take 90% of the time to beat 90% of the game, is what I'm trying to say.
Another question in chat, does Pro Ring guard against Bane? It does not. Pro Ring is protection against Death Element, and Bane is Poison Stone Element. The only equipment that protects against Bane in the game are Ribbons and the Aegis Shield.
And there's Sforzando finds the TNT. and he's going to nope out a marsh. Doesn't want to check the rest of the chests. There's not that many left.
Not necessarily a bad idea, and Sforzando probably doesn't want to rely on Zap versus a bunch of wizards, so...
Having said that, it is one of the tamer marsh caves we've seen so far, and I wouldn't be surprised if other people do summon the courage to check the last few chests. But, I mean, the likelihood that they have anything good is pretty slim, and if you're going to come back when you have the Mystic Key possibly anyway, there's really no need to do it now, but it's a coin toss. We'll see.
Yeah, I think Will, having seen the werewolves, is going to escape very quickly, but Zelnot may feel brave enough to check a few extra chests on the bottom floor. And if you're enjoying what you're seeing tonight, please follow the runners. Czar was kind enough to run that command in chat. And if you're interested in the randomizer at all, please join the Discord, and we have a section specifically for new players.
So Zelnop and Sforzando passing each other as one exits and enters the second floor of the Marsh Cave. Sforzando's almost out of here, and he's currently in the lead of the three that were following on stream. So the game begins to open up a bit now, Edgeworth. You got the TNT, you can return it to the dwarves and blow up the canal. Is your first destination Earth, or are you going to get creative here?
So the problem that I have with Earth is generally the later you do it, the better off you are, because the enemies there have lower morale. So most of the enemies that you run into in Volcano and Sea and Sky are not going to run away from you. But if you happen to gain a couple levels and maybe they rolled some low morale, just having enemies like the Grey Wolf Werewolf ambush pack, having some of them run away from you, really saves a lot of time. So I prefer to save Earth towards the end of the game. But for a seed like this, I can see an argument of taking care of Earth early, provided you have the items to full clear it.
And that brings up another question, like, no one's found the rod, of course. Found the rod. No one's found the ruby. So it's entirely likely that it's not even in the first half of the Earth Cave, so you definitely can't full clear it yet.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we see runners maybe use the large gap in the encounter table after after the first encounter after Power Cycle, and check out the top floor of Earth Cave, and then move on from there.
So Will has summoned the courage to take on the rest of the Marsh Cave. He checked behind the wizard chest, which is trap guarded with a pretty nasty encounter of wizards. They're unrunnable. They often hit like a truck. And they resist. Well, they resist everything but lightning. And of course, we unfortunately have only fire and ice to work with. But he does get past them, and he's still going for the rest of the chest. I think it was just garbage behind them, just some cash.
Gets ambushed by a pack of paralysis touch scorpions, and this is going to do it.
Yeah, he has to pull a reset on that one. If you saw what Sforzando just did there, he ran out of Corneria and then ran into the woods. The grass around Corneria does not trigger random encounters ever. It doesn't increment your step counter. Get on a fight with him and immediately reset. A little bit of random encounter manipulation because he knew that there was going to be a long stretch after the first reset that he could take advantage of, hop in the ship and sail all the way to Melmond without a fight. So a little bit more advanced strategies there to take away some of those overworld encounters from Sforzando.
Will finding an opal bracelet, and it's nice to sell, but at this point, probably not worth the loss in time.
You said opal bracelet. Did you mean opal gauntlet?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I forget. Minochi's the only one that sells opal bracelets around here.
Oh, shots fired. The opal gauntlet is an almost valueless piece of equipment that can only be equipped by a knight and isn't even as good as a pro ring. The opal bracelet is a fantastic piece of body armor that affords 34 absorb and can be equipped by anybody.
And we have Nuke sighted in Melman, so level 5 won't be long before, especially with these Pede fights, it won't be long before you get at least one charge of that.
Yeah, level 5 is just on the cusp of how many charges are you going to have. Like level 1, 2, 3, you're going to get tons of charges. Level 5 starts to wind down because they're just not going to grind very many levels to be fast. But that's right on the cusp where you might see an extra level or two to get some more charges up. It looks like EX speeds are really early in the encounter table, so with some creative tinting and resetting, you can force this encounter a lot. That one wasn't going his way, so he just resets right back into another one. Alright, so Sforzando's taking care of business outside of Crescent Lake, and it does look like the first battle immediately after a hard reset is always going to be Pedes. So everybody will probably make this realization that's at that level of play where they're keeping track of the encounter table in their head, and they know that after a hard reset, you're always going to get the same encounter in the same place. And if that same encounter is these high experience Pedes, which we like to refer to as EX Pedes, you're going to see a lot of this grind going on for everyone that realizes it.
And already the party at level 11, and very easily Sforzando could get a level 5 spell charge if he wanted to. Looks like he's happy just burning down this group every 5 steps or so, and that may be the extent of the leveling, explicit leveling that we see for the entire race.
Yeah, I don't think he needs the nuke charges yet. He's probably going to be able to get it done with Fire 3 and Ice 3 for the next little while, right? So maybe he'll come back later when he's figured out how much experience he needs. It's a bit of a trap. You can easily say, oh, nuke's at level 5, I better grind a little extra and get a bunch of charges of that, but you might not need it at all.
And, well, we have the floater found off-stream.
Presumably near the top of Volcano or Earth?
Second floor of Earth in the upper right corner.
That's a place that people may check almost like last. So we'll see if that's a sneaky trap.
Question in chat, who went to dig Earth? Who else but Artea? Allie and Maya got it in one.
Yes.
Question in chats, spell restrictions are still on vanilla. Yes, so in the vanilla game, the characters wouldn't be able to learn Nuke at level 5, even though it's a level 5 spell, because the permissions are explicitly set to only allow Black Wizards to learn it. But that flag, the permissions are turned off for the purpose of the randomizer. So as long as the spell lands in a slot in a shop, where it's something that the black mage could normally learn, then they can pick it up. So, for example, in the level 5 shop, they can learn everything except for what landed in the slot that warp usually occupies. And that's how it works for the upper levels as well.
I believe the point is that's actually where Nuke landed, is it not?
Take a look. I'm sure. Nope. Yep, Will is blocked from buying that off. But Quad X is there, and that is not a bad consolation prize either.
Quad X is lovely censoring of the word kill, because they didn't want to translate that North America for the sensitive audience back in 1987, 88, 89. And it has the curious quirk that it just works on things that have less than 300 health. Or am I mixing it up with Brack already?
Nope, that's correct.
Yeah, and the important thing about that 300 is that's not a max of 300, because that would be kind of lame. It's actually a current health of 300. So you can use it to finish off just about any lucky fiend or anything. So it's a popular tool to keep in the belt for sure.
And looks like Sforzando has found the tail. So if he wants Nuke, he can get Nuke.
It's just peeds everywhere you look in this seed. He doesn't even take the fight. He's kind of probably trying to save his charges to make sure he can safely clear this floor and then probably duck back out, save before diving deeper. It's the typical approach for Volcano is to just clean out this giant floor of treasure chests and then quickly duck back outside for a quick tent and save before going deeper.
We have Paralisks with Stare. Don't usually see that come out very often. Not particularly scary unless you're very low level, but it does do non-elemental damage.
And that early grinding Sforzando did outside of Crescent Lake already paying dividends. I just noticed that he still has like 3 charges of Ice 3 and 4 charges of Fire 3 on almost all of his mages, so he's packing serious heat now. I thought I could squeeze one by there if I didn't make a big fuss, but no.
Nope. I'm on to you, buddy. So,
We'll just
no progression. Oh, go ahead.
No, you first.
I was just going to say no progression items in the upper Volcano for Sforzando. Tail, very nice to find, though. So, and getting a little bit more experience, so no complaints there. And surveying the rest of the field, it looks like most people are making the Volcano play, although we do have... looks like Edge Figaro is going to Ordeals, so I'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, we were talking about that being particularly risky because Ordeals isn't even incentivized, so there's no guarantees that there'll be anything of worth there. You might say there's no guarantees there's going to be anything of worth in, say, Earth or Volcano, and that's true, but at least they do have a fiend at the bottom that you can go kill. So, the trip to Ordeals could be a total bust, but it could be just what he needs. We know for sure it doesn't have the floater or the tail, though, so cross your fingers that he finds something worthwhile.
Well, Will is also doing the very popular Top of Earth dive, and he runs into a pack of mummies, which normally pretty good for experience, but they have cremate.
It's sort of ironic, because they themselves obviously weren't cremated.
Oh, they are now.
Oh-ho! Now here's the big play. Is he going to dive to the second floor, too, and find the floater? Because that makes it a big win. If he bails out after the first floor, then all of a sudden it's kind of a wash.
Makes it even less likely that he's going to come back here before checking any of the other areas, and that will not pay off unless he finds another progression item, specifically the slab, or the crown, if crown leads the slab.
I've never been a fan of just doing half a job. If you're going to come here, you might as well take the time to check one more floor. Otherwise, you could set yourself up for such a disaster like he would if he leaves. But that's kind of the commentator's curse, so I hope he's not listening.
Well, we'll see what he's intends to do right now.
Alright, he's going back in.
Setting up the encounter table. And I think with the gap in the encounter table the way it is, he feels very comfortable just taking a quick sprint down to the next floor.
Yeah, there's going to be some unrunnables here. He's got an Earth, he's going to have to barbecue and a few other things, but the reality is his team's really good at running, and he should be able to just kind of get in and get out. And if he can do that, he's going to get out with the floater, and that'll really, really help him out.
Got Opal Shield and Silver Helmet for Sforzando. And there it is. Floater for Will.
Yeah. We'll see how far he goes. He's going to clean this other room out. There's just a handful of chests before the vampire if he wants to, but that's a less common approach. People usually get out after this room.
Yeah, and this is doable. The Earth is going to pack a punch, but he's got 3 mages with a strong elemental spell that he's weak against, so should be no problem.
Yeah, pretty high magic defense, but the vulnerability to fire, wow. Takes more than 3 charges, and he just lays waste to that thief. He's not happy about it, but I'm pretty sure he'll be just fine here.
Who woke me up?
Just fine, I say, as he walks away with 2 men dead.
Now the question is, does Will feel like he's going to check these chests, or because he has to fight the Earth again, or is he just going to walk this out?
No, he's got to go for it.
Worst prize. He may just, he's going to reset and redo the dive.
If you're wondering why the heck did he just reset out, it's because this game has what are called trap tiles, and they're forced encounters, but they respawn every time you step on the tile. It's used for grinding, it's used for all kinds of stuff. So you have to fight that Earth on the way into that room, and you also have to fight the Earth on the way back out. And it took 5 fire 3s to take him out the first time. He didn't have a hope of doing that again, so he just saves himself the struggle and aborts.
Oh, and Edge Figaro finds the ruby, so very likely he will be, if he takes that opportunity, he will be the next person to find the floater.
Yeah, this is a situation where you sort of got to follow the yellow brick road. Like the randomizer is random, but it does tend to blaze a trail for you if you follow the signs, right? And when you get the ruby somewhere, that guarantees that it's possible that the floater is ruby locked. So now you really should avail yourself of that wisdom and go to Earth. Because if you don't, it might be the last place you go and you could waste a lot of time. That's not a hard and fast rule, but it's a defendable approach.
So right now, he is not having a fun time in the back half of Ordeals. It turns out that Mancats know Glance, and only 1 soft potion.
I just trying to picture a man-cat glance, and it's just giving me goosebumps all over. Maybe that's why it turns you to stone.
So the ruby, the big prize here, and we'll see if he can get past the zombie dragon. In the meantime, Will makes it out of Earth with the floater, and has a big lead over all of the rest of the field, not named Artea right now. It's like Sforzando is headed to the Ice Cave, new territory there, and I believe he is the first of any of the runners to make it up there. And Fuchsia Fantasy is diving floor 3 of the Earth Cave right now, so already has the floater in tow.
Yeah, we now know that floater is in Earth, and you don't need the ruby as a result. So Ordeals is certainly a bust in one way of looking at it. We'll see if Ice Cave proves to have anything of value, or if it's also a waste. The trick with going for these dungeons when they're not incentivized is like what just happened in Ordeals. They could be a virtual complete waste of your time. So it's always a risk, but it could pay off.
And, well, 7 wizards.
Yeah, the Zeus Gauntlet for the little free lit too. Lightning is the only common element that the wizards aren't resistant to, so even Ice 3 and Fire 3 are going to be a struggle. Zap might get the job done though too.
So Will has the canoe, and we'll be picking up the airship out of the desert soon after, and very likely headed to Cardi Islands and Titan's Cave to pick up the free chests. So it looks like Artea's next destination is Sea Shrine. Fuchsia still in Earth. And everybody else seems to be in Volcano right now.
Ooh! We've got mages with Glare and Glance, and we got a couple of dead party members in Sforzando's group already.
And I think if I was in Sforzando's shoes, I might just check the upper left chest and then reset.
Because... Yeah, well, he's going to be resetting anyway. Sorry to interrupt, like those wraiths did.
Yikes! Yeah, that's exactly why. Just with a fragile party like this, the thief being in the front line and having the only appreciable HP growth is actually very bad if you lose the thief.
Yeah, we knew he was playing with fire when he went in here, even though it's the Ice Cave, and he knew that too, but this could be a huge time sink if he gets caught up in sort of the sunk cost approach. Oh, I gotta clear it because I came here, you know, I can't walk away with nothing. So we'll see if he gets caught up in that, or if he manages to actually get through it. It's been pretty ugly so far.
Yep. Meanwhile, Zelnop runs into 2 Wizard Ogres and is just going to throw some zaps out, because that formation, it's almost impossible to tell whether or not that is the runnable version or the unrunnable version.
Yeah, one of the new features coming to the randomizer, I guess I can drop some dev team hype, is this game makes no bones about giving you no idea whatsoever whether or not you can run away from an encounter or not. You can run away from most things, but it'll let you try to run away from bosses or random encounters that just happen to be unrunnable, like wizards. And one of the upcoming features in the randomizer will be a convenience flag that will help new players learn for sure by changing the command to wait when you're not allowed to run, with a different message that says nothing happens or something like that, to at least allow people to educate themselves about the unrunnables, because it's a bit tricky to remember them all their first few times playing this game.
And speaking of unrunnables, there's that group again. And Sforzando running into a pack of Frost Wolves, a Frost Wolf with a Frost Giant, also unrunnable.
It's Unrunnable City. Kind of like the Hotel California, you know? You can check out anytime you want, but you can never leave.
in that four thief race, I had no idea how much HP those frost giants had, so I specifically manipulated them out by fighting the eye for 30 minutes.
Yeah, the eye took a good beating last night's race.
Well deserved. It's revenge for making it all the way to that floater chest and then just getting quad X'd by in vanilla.
I gotta say, in the Japanese original game, the eye is actually a beholder, and they kind of took a little bit of a pun, I think, on Beauty in the Eye of the Beholder or something like that. And to avoid copyright, they changed it to the eye. But they did a pretty good job making a terrifying sprite. And when I was a little kid, that thing scared the heck out of me. So kudos to the graphic designers who converted the beholder to the eye for, following through and making a memorable monster.
And he's actually more terrifying than the original sprite too. The original sprite, just the beholder looks like he's a good dude. He just wants to have a good time, happy, smiling.
Somewhere between the Kool-Aid Man and Jabba the Hutt.
Will finding a mage staff, so we have some useful thief preview here as all of the spellcasting items end up on the thief. And yeah, Carrie wiping people out left and right. Fortunately, there's nothing super desirable on the way down to her, but
yeah, it's a bit fun to see the fiends with a bit of punch in this seed, because normally if you just walk up with 3 black mages blasting, it's kind of like the 12 Days of Christmas that Carrie never wants to see. But this time, she's proving to be pretty tough, so it's going to force some different strategy, I hope. A little more excitement than just walking in guns a-blazing.
Well, I think, getting the wizard staff or picking up Confuse definitely would have helped for that fight, but I think she just wiped out everybody before they even had a chance to try that strategy. And Mage Staff and Black Shirt in the Cardia Islands, so that thief is certainly packing some nice things in the old clothing rack.
We've reached the eye here in Sforzando's screen.
Ooh, we have a T-Rex sighting.
We've also got a grind-worthy eye, and Sforzando's going to avail himself of the opportunity. Bit risky. He has no idea what skills he has because he one-shotted him instantly, and he does it again. Oh, no, he doesn't. 2 shots him this time. How long would you stick around with this? This is like literally playing with fire.
Well, if I saved before this fight, then I'm just gonna go for it.
I always talk about Sforzando grinding on the eyes, but yeah, the T-Rex is a whole nother ballgame. Very high EXP monster.
There we go. That is gonna be at least 2 or 3 levels for each of these mages. So
that was... Go ahead.
What?
No, you first. I insist.
I was going to say, just keeping track of the... Is it second on power on? Oh, this is tremendous. He's getting as much experience as he wants.
If you were a Final Fantasy Randomizer fan during, say, the opening tournament, and then it sort of fell off your radar more recently, a lot of the metagame has changed. A lot of strategies have evolved. Anyone who thinks they figured this out quickly finds that there's something new being invented. And the overworld grinding, by taking advantage of the encounter table, what enemies are early in the table, what overworld enemies like the T-Rex or the EXPs can I force by using resets. It's completely changed the grinding aspect of this since what was the status quo 6 months ago. And it's really cool to see not only the EXPs just outside of Crescent Lake, but now the Tyro up there.
So, looks like nothing good in the ice cave. Zelnop is going to find that ruby in Ordeals and is likely going to head to Earth, since with the ruby you have access to 28 chests between Titan's Cave and Earth Cave. It's a pretty good bet before diving back into Marsh Cave.
Maya in chat says slabs playing hard to get. Sea, waterfall, earth, marsh. I like vanilla. Those mermaids hanging out, reading it over, trying to figure out lake finish. Never gonna figure it out. Not even gonna be able to travel there. Lake finish is landlocked behind mountains. But they can dream.
Now, it would be very interesting if the slab was underneath the plate on the way to Lich, because a lot of the runners that have already found Floater will likely be saving that for last. But anyone that found the ruby will be clearing those chests on the way through, grabbing the floater and just completing the dungeon in one shot, being the more efficient approach.
Will Bloodworth now in the big treasure trove in Volcano?
So it looks like Sforzando's next destination is Ordeals, and he's going to find the ruby. Will finds the tail, and Zelnop finds a wipe and has to go back in.
Now, Will has already availed himself of the Earth Caves and the floater and the airship, so he can basically turn in this tail at a moment's notice. A piece of cake. Look like he's going to do that right away?
Maybe, and he has Nuke on the table if he wants it. Looks like he's just going to set up a manipulation, though. Nobody expects Thunderbolt Tauros.
This is a fact.
It's game sharking to put unexpected moves.
I mean, the Spanish Inquisition, sure, but Thunderbolt Tauros? No. The sweet sound of the Castle Ordeals theme restarting every 3 seconds. Music to my ears.
Da, da, da.
Da, da, da.
And so looks like Artea is clearing out the mermaid floor right now, but has not found anything.
Will also picks up the Zeus gauntlets. Nice little lit 2 free item there. Something to give the thief something to do. Well, he's a bit jealous of all his wizards just blasting people away.
Zara also bringing up a good point. The crown hasn't been seen yet either. The crown could end up in Sky, though. And if it ends up in Sky, it can't block the slab, and we will never see it.
Oh, those pesky cremate mummies. Making life miserable for Zelnop.
Yeah, and that is one of the dangers of running with a very low level and brittle party, like the Thief and the Black Mages, is one ambush from an enemy that has a strong AoE, and you're done for.
Yeah, Zelnop's learning the hard way. Sometimes you cremate the mummies, and sometimes they cremate you.
And there's the ruby for Zelnop, and he may have to decide whether this is worth walking out or not.
Sforzando steps on 1,000,000 pillars before he gets to the top, and I was nervous he was about to blow the stack and softlock his game, but no, he seems to be okay.
Feels bad when you have 3 black mages but no warp.
Yeah, stuck in traffic when you're already late, right?
And Slab is in C, so Artea is now in go mode.
A 1,000 Banes when all you needed was a Brack.
And 2 Fire 3s enough to get Zelnop through, so he's going to be able to carry that ruby up.
Sforzando at the end of Ordeals barbecues his zombie D. He's not going to stick around and grind, he just takes off. And the word on the street is that Artea has won. So he is finished in under an hour in what is now going to be known as the bullet stage.
He's in go mode, hasn't quite won yet.
The word on the street was a lie?
When has the word on the street ever been a lie?
I was lied to, Edge.
Who would make up things on the internet?
Geez, some people. No, I apologize. I was mistaken. Artea hasn't won yet. He's merely in go mode and is probably the current favorite to do so. But again, he has not yet won. Nobody has won. Race is still going.
Yeah, I mean, all it takes is maybe cracking one and being a jerk. We'll see.
Alright, Sforzando about to feed the Titan vanilla style. Run validated.
So the Titan, being an aficionado of rubies, Nitz, what's your favorite gemstone?
So, probably Topaz for the magic find.
I would say that's definitely a good pick.
The irony there, though, of course, is that you never use that in your actual, like, boss gear. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's just, you gotta get that boss gear first.
Asher Games asked, Magic Find IRL? See, my IRL gemstone's different, because I'm a big fan of Diamond, because that's what got the wife to say yes.
A ribbon in Titan's Cave. Always nice to see. Especially when Grey Wolves have lit too, but oh no, he didn't equip it! He gets out of it, though.
Jeez, that's ugly. That Titan's tunnel, man. He's got like packs of wolves and roving ogres protecting his crap down there. And then he like, yeah, I'll eat this ruby and you can go, but like, watch out for all the other ogres and lit wolves. I don't even know what I'm doing down here.
So, Will just nuking down this T-Rex after the promotion, and yep, that's all the levels you could possibly want.
After promotion, the red mage gets a fancier hat, but the black wizard just like takes his off and spikes his hair and goes all punk.
And Sforzando taking the ruby bait, but is it really bait when it's going to direct you into the floater?
Yeah, I think it's a fine choice because he doesn't know the floater could be just on the other side of the vampire, right? So he's playing the odds here.
Yeah, and if you're willing to gamble, taking it's 28 chests versus the 30 chests in Volcano. That's, you know, someone has already opened because that's the high percentage opening play. Edge Figaro also finds the slab, but looks like he's going to continue to crack open chests because it seems like he has skipped Volcano, so he's in pretty good shape as well. Hasn't, because he's just running around unpromoted, and I'm assuming he's looking for Mazmune or maybe a Ribbit.
And there's Forzando's floater. He'll be happy to see that. A little bit relieved, too. At this point, he probably knows that other people have been here first, though, so you're going to feel a little bit under the gun when something like that shows up.
And I was curious if he was just going to finish this dungeon out or walk it out. Looks like he's going to take his floater and run. Probably come back with Nuke.
Yeah, he should have the levels now to have some charges, so it like instantly makes his party that much deadlier.
So with all of the T-Rex grinding, Will definitely has a sizable lead on available resources, but...
A sizable lead on getting one-shotted, too. That was pretty nasty.
They have a very, very high crit rate.
Poor T-Rex, you know, the king of the jungle, just getting, like, obliterated with nuclear weapons and warped to other dimensions. Like, you know. It's a shame, really. Majestic creature like that.
I mean, if you warp them to another dimension, you don't even get the stakes, so, like, what's the point?
I suppose you could warp in a stake from another dimension.
Fourth dimensional stake?
The stake that's always on time. Will taking care of a little bit of paperwork, saving, resting in Elfland. He's gonna head to Corneria Town, file his TPS reports, and pick up some cheap tents.
So, recap of the other runners right now. Edge Figaro is also in go mode, and seems to be the only other person that is right now. Zarnax in Ice Cave, Brilliant Minochi in Ordeals, Files working his way through Earth after picking up the Ruby, Artea finishing Earth, fighting the Vampire right now, and Salty, Fuchsia, and Tristal all in the Overworld.
Forzando picks up his bottle, which he uncorked to release that fairy. Head off and get the Oxyale. That'll unlock the Sea Shrine for him.
So, question in chat: what would happen with 9 Warmechs on the screen? You would probably die.
At that point, they might be programming glitches. Maybe there's going to be some sort of wireless, like, worm or software takeover. They could be nuking each other. One way or another, it won't be pretty. They won't even really fit in the conventional battlefield either, so they might be all smashed into each other, and who knows what mayhem would result.
And looks like our tracker has to bow out early, but thank you to Zardia for picking up the first hour of tracking. I definitely appreciate the help.
Show your love for Zardia, the founder of the FFR Discord and inaugural tournament administration, league administration. He's everywhere this game is, so we appreciate that. And he's the one that kindly invited me to be a commentator tonight. So, hey, I got a personal reason. Thanks a lot, Zar. Everything you mean to this community. You are pretty much synonymous with it at this point.
Thank you, everyone. Sorry I can't stay longer, but I must be going now. Enjoy the race.
Thanks, Zar. Have a good one. Looks like Zelnot picks up the floater, and Will is going to pick up nothing in Ice Cave. Nothing but heartache.
Yeah, all the optional dungeons and everything has been very disappointing. Like, it's just stay on the beaten path and you'll find everything you need here.
Well, those tend to be the highest percentage plays, and when you have better execution than the rest of the runners, there's no reason to not take the high percentage plays. Definitely saw some other runners taking some gambles, and with Ruby being in Ordeals, didn't really pay off.
Yeah, at least if you found the Ruby and followed it through, you'd find the floater fairly quickly, but if you keep, throwing one risk after another, putting good money after bad, if you will, then you can just get lost on these random adventures that just aren't part of the goal.
So now coming back with the bottle and the floater and a shiny new class promotion, Sforzando is going to come back and get some revenge on Carrie.
He's passing around some items now. He's got a really, really well-equipped thief. Some of the best gear it can equip, really. The pro ring on top of the ribbon isn't strictly necessary. The ribbon resists everything. The pro ring just resists death. So he could pass it off to somebody else, but he's deciding to keep it on for the absorb.
Yeah, definitely good if you want the ninja to act as a frontline tank, although I think I would be a little happier with the Zeus Gauntlet on the ninja and the pro ring than with the mages.
Zeus Gauntlet only has 2 less absorb and 1 extra evade penalty, but giving that 8 absorb and the death resist to one of the wizards probably worthwhile. I agree.
And looks like Will's not even gonna check the eye chest. It just nopes out of here. So a little bit risky, but with already having the floater and access to a large amount of other chests, this is very, very likely not to come back to bite him, and we already know it will.
And he knows it's not incentivized, meaning there's nothing special about it at all. The fact that it's the hardest chest to get to in the Ice Cave really just means all the more reason not to bother. Sforzando taking all the hot steps through the Volcano. The burning tiles inflict 1 point of damage on your party members, even if they're turned to stone, but they don't trigger encounters, they don't increase your step counter, so it's the quick way to the bottom if it's not the coolest.
Oh yeah, Vorpal Sword on the Thief. We're in good shape now.
If a sword could be controversial, it would be the Vorpal Sword. Very high critical hit chance. And it's certainly the best sword he's got right now, so equipping it now isn't controversial.
If only Sforzando had a cabin, this would be a much more efficient use of the heal potions.
Alright, we know Carrie's pretty nasty, so... Unfortunately, Fast doesn't stack. He got it for all 3 black mages, but it's not strictly necessary. He can only take advantage of it once.
Hits for a whopping 11 damage.
Ah, but he wasn't fast yet. You just wait.
Oof.
Carrie, absolutely not messing around. She's got at least 4 swords, and she plunged both of them into BM3 there. Oh! And then she feels the sweet heat of the nuke, and it's over. So, a bit of a lightweight carry, if a deadly one.
Meanwhile, I think about 3 fiends in, and Artea is stopping for some steaks. So, everybody getting in on the T-Rex action tonight.
Yeah. Carry all glass cannon, just like these parties, but she was basically just defeated with numbers. If it was a one-on-one fight between Carrie and any one of those characters, Carrie's got a great shot. But 4 against 1, what can she do?
And a carry like that is exactly one of the reasons why the solo black belt grind can be in the Volcano can be very, very terrifying. I have had runs before where I take a 42 black belt down to beat carry and get 1 shot for 800 damage.
RD Platypus saying Datsun pickup beep beep, and I hope that's throwing it back to, you know, Pirate Baby's Cabana Battle Street Fight 2006, which, if you don't know what that is one of the most amazing Flash videos that's 12 years old that you'll find. I'm definitely aging myself with that.
That is not a Flash video I'm familiar with, but it seems like one that I should be familiar with.
Pirate Baby's Cabana Battle Street Fight 2006. And yeah, it is. If you like black and white Flash animation. You ever play Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game?
Yep.
Same animator did both. You'll recognize his work immediately.
Ah, yes. 2006 was a very, very good year for Flash videos.
Excellent vintage. Some of them have aged really well, but you gotta worry. Some of them are starting to go off now. They weren't stored upside down, and some of the corks are starting to rot.
Just not kept in climate control. And Will playing some punch out with Carrie and wins this fight. So the katana doing a little bit better work.
Yes, katana's the second best ninja weapon after the legendary Masamune. Disputed. There's some Vorpal lovers and so on, but on paper it's up there.
Katana definitely better with the Vorpal than the Vorpal by the numbers, but it's just there's an argument whether the high crit rate weapons are better than the high base damage weapons. And for the average, I think level 25 fighter, the Vorpal is better against anything that has around 115 to 116 absorb.
Well, Platypus, it was big of you to admit that you were just trying to come up with a lame weenie truck, but now you have to go watch, and I will repeat it one last time, Pirate Baby's Cabana Battle Street Fight 2006.
So now Zelnop is making a gamble into the ice cave, and we see a lot of the runners straying from the beaten path on the hopes of catching a good item location for the slab, and nope, it is right in the Fiend Dungeon. And that is why Artea is walking into Temple of Fiends right now.
Question from chat. Isn't the katana just as likely to crit as the Vorpal in the hands of a ninja? Answer, yes, absolutely. I was mistaken about how good the Vorpal was. The katana is a vastly superior weapon.
Yep, it is just as likely to crit, but the katana does have higher base damage, so...
And according to guides.gamercorner.net, which I use for all my Final Fantasy I stats, katana's crit is 19 and Vorpal's is only 17. And the katana's hit plus is 35, and the Vorpal's only 25.
So Will is about to pick up the cube.
Looks like he's going to burn a fight or two off the encounter table first, try to get that long stretch. There's one particularly nasty encounter typically here in the waterfall that people will try to avoid. The abominable gas dragons.
And there's that group 8 again. Right off the reset, but if you only run into one, it's not too bad as far as experience goes. And there we have it, the first finisher. Artea wraps things up with a time of 1:11:14.
Punches his 0-0 card in stage 4, thus guaranteeing he'll be at least tied for first for the next 2 weeks. Artea has been a staple at the top of the charts of this game, and it only takes him to the second race of the stage to win one. We're not sure if he's unwilling or simply unable to lose, Lord Merriam.
Could be both. Question in chat, where was Slab? Slab was in Sea Shrine on the way to Mermaids.
Ed, you've been checking on the other runners. Has anyone else even made it through the... Pardon me, into the Mirage Tower yet?
Not yet. Although I'm waiting to see what Edge has as far as items go. Taking a stop in Melman to pick up Nuke for the rest of the mages, and already having the slab. This might be a convenient time to get it translated as well. He's just gonna walk out, so I have to assume he's already got that taken care of.
Will looks to be about to begin his dive into the Sea Shrine, so if he checks mermaids first, he'll find this slab. The conventional wisdom is, if you need the experience and levels, that's a fine thing to do. If you're already in go mode, oftentimes people will just head straight for Kraken, which is in a different direction. But it looks like Will's going to head to the mermaids first.
And if he decides to check the chest outside of mermaids first, and it looks like he's going to do that. Yeah, he'll find the slab then.
And there it is. He found it slab with mysterious writings, but surely the good Dr. Un down in the ravaged town of Melmond has nothing better to do than teach him a new language.
Zelnop zaps the eye, gets some much-needed experience. And Sforzando is going to check the chests on the way to Lich. So, hey, there's the Adamant. So, wasn't the lucky winner this time.
The super duper useful Adamant, which you can return to the Smith, the legendary Dwarven artisan, from which you will fashion the great Excalibur, which you can then turn around and sell to the nearest vendor for like 20 grand or something.
Pretty good for the old retirement fund.
After you defeat the Phantom, what then? You didn't even go back in time. Or maybe you did. And that money that you made in the future will be worth way more before all the inflation, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, if that's, 20 grand in today's dollars, just think of what that's worth 2,000 years ago. You're going to live like a king. The king you just killed.
The kindly owned king of the Northwest Castle.
Actually, that kindly old king looks like he's not even going to get a visit tonight.
No, I have to guess that crown is in the sky.
Sforzando just polishing off the Earth Cave before he heads down to the Lich floor. Looks like there wasn't much there besides the Adamant, which is in itself a bit of a tease. And now he's ready for the Lich fight, but he doesn't have much of a party to do it with, so we'll see how this goes.
So as far as a review of the other folks, I think Tristal and Edge Figaro are kind of neck and neck right now, both of them fighting Carrie at the exact same time. And Edge finishing off Carrie quicker because of the fewer inputs required when one party member is dead. But then we'll lose all that time immediately going into the clinic in Crescent Lake.
Will Bloodworth skips a chest in the Sharknado room. We call that the Sharknado room because of the trap tile there, with it often has sharks and waters in it. But since he's in go mode, he's not going to bother. You have to fight that fight twice if you want to get to the chest. Once on the way in, once on the way out. He doesn't have that kind of time, so he's going straight down.
Solo Thief versus Lich, and this might be, he's using the Light Axe repeatedly, but I think the Mage Staff would do more damage here.
Got a $150 on the first cast.
That's pretty solid. Good enough.
And it gets the job done. This thief was well enough equipped that Lich couldn't touch him, so he had lots of time. Didn't appear to have any deadly magic. Zelnop heading down to cash in the item that proves his valor and courage.
And sounds like we're joined by Artea. GG.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations! You're in second race of the stage and you punched your 0-0.
You? Yeah, I missed the Midnight Madness. GG to show on that one.
And it was madness. Everybody finished within 25 minutes, and 7 of the 8 within like 15 minutes. So that was quite a race.
Oh.
You seem to have put a bit of space between yourself and second place.
Yeah, that'll happen when I picked up the floater in Earth. I figured that there would be quite a distance. It's not a place that people normally favor. I don't know why, but people tend to avoid Earth like the plague.
Besides the fact it's so close to Melmond and the opening of the canal, why do you like it so much, the Earth play?
You can usually get to the first 2 floors chests in like maybe 2 to 4 encounters, which is a really quick clear. And if you pick up something there, you avoid kayaking across the Amazon River to Volcano, which, I mean, granted, the first floor of Volcano is worth it. but the deep dive into it takes a lot of healing without white magic. It's a bit annoying, and it's pretty deep down. Like, it's a lot of steps and a lot of healing and a lot of time to like beeline Volcano first.
Well, Bloodworth taking on Kraken. He's gonna pull a Soviet Union and go for some underwater nuclear tests.
So, as far as the early Earth play goes, were you planning on stopping after the first 2 floors, or were you going to check out the third?
No, not without Warp. Like, with Warp, I might check the third one and get the vampire out of the way, but probably not. It's usually just the first two floors.
Kraken manages to one-shot a Black Wizard, but again, 4 versus 1, too many nukes, and Kraken goes down. Looks like another situation where just the quick draw technique gets the job done. What do we have to look forward to in the Sky Castle and Tiamat? Any challenge there?
No, nothing that I ran into. But Kraken and Tiamat were just spam break and win, basically. There's nothing really challenging about the first feeds, to be honest. There's so many ways you can deal with them, especially with access to 3 black mages.
So, Nuke was level 5. Did you do any specific grinding to unlock extra charges?
Yeah, well, you had the T-Rex as the second encounter, so that was power level to 20 in about 2 minutes. Maybe 3.
Yeah, I think we saw... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they were super squishy, so you could essentially Thor's hammer them and just cast Quad X and get them down. Which was really nice, because they are very juicy XP pinatas.
Did you do any peat grinding around Crescent Lake? That was kind of a popular choice on stream here.
A couple on the way to Crescent Lake. I'll tend to power cycle, cast Ice 3, tend to power cycle again, and just do that on the way to the canoe to get around level 12-ish, just to get some extra spell charges in.
And Sportana finds his slab. So you chalk the victory up, in this case, mostly to finding Thoda early. Anything else go surprisingly well for you that you think may have contributed?
Not really. I mean, there wasn't anything particularly nasty anywhere, and the available magic was amazing. So it was really straightforward, outside of just finding that floater and then going to town.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a stage of pretty quick seeds. Like, your time was just over an hour, I think an hour 10, and the winning seed, the winning time last night was an hour 22 or so, so we're going to be strapped in for some fast races. This one was a surprise, the space between you and second place, considering how close it was last night, but that could just be the sort of the decision to dive to second floor Earth and no one else took off right off the bat.
Yeah, that's usually what happens when there's an Earth floater.
It's interesting too, because there are runners that will check the top floor of Earth, but not check the second when it is not a significantly larger time investment for even more chests.
Well, if you're checking the bottom 2 rooms, getting to the chests in B2 is about the same number of steps, so I don't see why you'd go and check the southern B1 chests and not go check the B2 ones.
Yeah.
I guess you have to be prepared to deal with the Earth, but he wasn't going to be much of a problem with the magic that you had.
Oh, with a million charges of Fire 3, that wasn't going to be an issue, no. Fortunately, I never had to see an Earth Elemental, so...
Okay, so you peeled out right after finding the floater, did you?
Yeah. Because I don't like fighting Earths if I can avoid it. I mean, they weren't going to be an issue, but I picked up the floater, and there are just so many tasty chests go on the world tour, the airship world tour, that it's just not worth getting into a fight if you can avoid it.
Yeah, there were some casting items, I think, in Starry Isles and stuff, but there wasn't like a super great Titan's Trove or anything like that.
Titans had a couple of cast items, I think, too. The airship really opened up pretty much every cast item in the game, and you got a ribbon off of Titan's Tunnel.
Well, there was a ribbon down there. That's another horse of a different color.
It's a really nice find, again. It's a super nice safety to pick up, but it was never actually useful. But definitely never going to spit on picking up a ribbon anywhere.
Zalnop cleans out the waterfall, picks up the cube, which is pretty much the only thing in there worth writing home about.
So, any plans to play some more defense in this round?
Probably. I wasn't going to do it last round because it's not really something I enjoy. But with this round, probably going to happen, yeah.
The last round was pretty volatile. I mean, the hunt for one item takes a measure of skill out, for sure. But with this round, it's a straight-up knockdown, drag-em-out race. It has a short, abrupt end, and it doesn't have a lot of particularly hard bosses along the way, if you get the magic spells. But it's certainly lots of opportunity for skillful play.
And now we're joined by Edge Figaro, who just finished in second with a time of 1:26.08. GG, Edge.
GG. Well played, Arteo.
Thank you, sir. Judging by the time, I'm guessing you dipped Earth fairly early, too.
Yeah, I got Ruby baited by Ordeals, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take it, and that took me to the floater, and then I went straight to the slab, and then it was go mode. Did you class change?
Yep. Yeah. The nuke wound up actually being useful, and having an extra caster of Rack was also, not a bad thing to have around for Kraken and Tiamat.
Yeah, I never gave my ninja spells. I found the tail very late. I'd already killed Lich and Kraken, but I was questionable about my setup for carry. So I'm in go mode checking the Volcano armory. I'm like, I'll go turn it in by nuke, and that'll solve the rest of the game.
Fortzando's taking on Kraken. Looks like he's just gonna nuke him pretty good. He's got enough charges to make that happen.
And looks like we found the crown in left side of Sky. Not sure why Salty Fry was checking that out, but there it is for anyone that was curious.
It's those 100%ers, you know?
It's the completionist attitude.
FF Randomizer 100%.
Swartzando taking out Kraken in short order.
And a quick trip to the clinic. With no red mages and no white mages, there's certainly going to be no casting of life going on, so the guy operating the clinic's been making a killing tonight. And before you make any jokes, it's definitely a private clinic.
Looks like Zelnop is going to throw a Quake out into this group, and that is not going to accomplish much of anything. In the meantime, Will picks up the Chime and is headed into air right now.
Start with the Mirage Tower, which is really chest dense on the first couple floors, so we'll see if he spends time with that or if he just go modes it upward. And it looks like he's going to forget the chest.
I mean, at this point, you don't need to dive Temple of Fiends, so there's no point in checking chests once you're in go mode at all.
Yeah, we were talking before the seed how it's not a very gear-dependent seed compared to others. It's very magic-dependent and spell-dependent, of course, but...
Yeah, I wasn't sure if turning the tail was worthwhile. It stabilized me for carry. I didn't know how tricky she was going to be. Although I did have a bunch of Ice 2, or Ice 3, so I probably could have just Ice 3'd her down.
Ooh. Well, the upgraded ninja was the only reason that he survived that blow, but Blue D goes down pretty quick.
Yeah, carry 3, carry 3. Carry 1 had 6 hits, so pretty terrifying against anybody with low health.
And Sforzando did, in fact, find a pro ring in the waterfall, so it's not total garbage down there, but nothing too special.
Was there a particular reason that you went to Earth Cave early?
The chests were mostly free, and I really hate Volcano.
Oh, the controversial.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my levels were garbage. You don't know what P's are going to be like. You don't know what anything's going to be like. So I will usually favor a couple of floors of Earth, especially when you find pro rings for sale in Melmond.
Yeah, it seemed like the encounter table had a pretty efficient walk after a couple of resets.
Absolutely.
And I think they're shuffled, but, you know, the starting places for the enemies in the Earth Cave are a bit easier, too.
Yeah, Ordeals was not fast. I died twice. Zombies had lit 3, and that ended up being troublesome. I figured I'd go do Ordeals and then pick up Warp, and it would make things like the Volcano easier, because I'd have enough levels for a Warp charge. And that ended up working out. It kind of paid off, but kind of didn't. Well, I'm gonna head out. GG, Artea, well done. Boat racing everybody again.
GG. Good night.
GG. So right now, all Sforzando has to do is turn in that chime, and then it's time to rough up Tiamat.
And Will Bloodworth takes on Tiamat. First time we see him on stream.
And Quad X goes first.
And it's ineffective. Nuke, on the other hand, you can always count on.
Good old Nuke. Nothing beats Nuke.
Poor, predictable Black Mage. Always cast Nuke. The meta commentary is that Edge and I have been trying to throw Simpsons references at each other all night long. And despite the predictability of the approach, the endless stream of nukes gets the job done and Tiamat goes down. Will is now ready for the final show, or he may actually have to return to Earth. Or perhaps not.
And looks like we have Fuchsia Fantasy finishing in 3rd place with a time of 1:28.11. And Will finishes with a time of 1:35.15, and the first of our featured runners to wrap things up.
GG Will. We'll see if he wants to pop in for a chat.
And we're joined by Will now. GG.
Hey, thanks.
Glad to see you're still standing after last night's marathon.
Yeah, you guys gave me three mages to go with this thief. I didn't know what to do with them, so it took me a little longer.
We were a little worried for a bit that you were just going to kill all of them.
I was considering it, just for the hell of it.
You lie.
No, I'm not.
I mean,
Entertainment value.
You did name the thief solo, so
I did. It was more of a tribute than a indicator of things to come. When I saw Artea in the race and Minochi and Edge Figaro, I'm like, well, I'm not going to get the zeros here, so maybe I will just run a solo thief. But I just decided to run it. So I take it that Artea, you got the early floater just like I did in Earth Cave before going to Crescent.
Yep.
It's the right play.
Then I had a feast on blue steaks for a while.
Yeah, me too. It was great.
Yeah, it was delicious.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Even this vegan likes blue steak.
So Blue, it's still alive, right?
That's right.
Well, if it consented to the steak, it's a different story.
If it consented, sure.
So take us through your routing a little bit after you found the floater. Where was your next? Where were you planning on going next?
After the free chests, I was just looking at density at that point. The move to Ice Cave, I regret because the chest density there was nowhere near what I should have been playing for. So I went after getting all the free stuff, minus the waterfall if you consider that free. I went to Volcano, 2nd floor. Then I left. I think I left and went to Ice. And I think I came back after that, cleared that out. And then I got the bottle, went to Waterfall. And then I went to Sea Shrine top Mermaid side first, which for me isn't common, but I had a hunch. And my hunch was right. But all that and 10 cents will get you a dime, and I still lost by like a solid 24 minutes, despite pretty much going the right places, minus the Ice Cave dive. Some sloppy routing, I think.
So if you had to do it again, no Ice Cave?
Oh, absolutely not. No question about it. And
yeah, I'm guessing the disincentivization, turning off that flag really takes away the play for that and Ordeals most of the time.
Yeah. And I don't figure on most people going Earth early. I only know of one other person who does it with regularity, and he's the guy who won the race. So take notes or don't, people. It's not a bad play.
And Sforzando flies over to TOFR, and he took a route very similar to Will did, coming in from the from the northeast, reaching Cordelia, doubling back up. It's curious, they both took the same route. People tend to memorize a certain way around the world map of this game, and you stick with your known waypoints.
I should really work on that. No, I actually get lost when I'm flying around sometimes. When it's all ocean, sometimes I lose my bearings and I try to fly in one direction for a long time, and then I end up flying in a direction that never has land on it, which is really hard to do on that map, but I manage.
Yeah, this game's world map is vast, and when you're first learning to route it, you sort of pretend it's a giant square with, like, 4 corners and stuff, but it's
the world is square. You got it, man.
It's it's sort of a torus mathematically, but we don't have to get metaphysical.
It'd be over a lot of people's heads. I wouldn't worry about it.
The way it wraps side to side and top to bottom makes it map better onto a donut than onto a sphere.
So it looks like Sforzando is running into a bit of problems with the unrunnables here, but should be getting the Phantom shortly.
So what was the sticking point for most people in this race?
You should have a hero run from there.
Yeah, we saw a lot of people go a lot of places and just not think to head back to Earth. It's a common choice. If you don't go there first, it's one of the last places you go, and that's what happened to a lot of people.
I should have capitalized on that better, because that's why I do it in the first place. It's easy to check. It's there. If there's something in Melmond you can buy, you've got the money for it. And if there's something there, then ooh-ah.
And with that nuke, Sforzando kills Phantom at a time of 141 even, and we're joined by Sforzando now. GG.
GG, everyone. I am looking forward to the seed in which Floater is not in the Earth Cave.
I'm not.
That's
You want
2
it on the-
times
Got the
now.
money for it.
You want it near the top of Volcano?
There's
I would have
something there,
settled for the
then-
bottom of Volcano, honestly.
And with that, just right in that nice red D chest there.
I would have walked that all the way out because I knew, and that was kind of the first fight with Carrie for me, was like, I'm gonna reset, I may as well test the waters, but I knew I wasn't gonna get anywhere with just Ice 3, so I know I had Nuke on the horizon because I found the tail in the armory, but I just didn't get to that floater till last.
And we have Salty finishing up in 6th place with a time of 141.24.
Okay.
So, Sforzando, take us through your routing the seed.
With non-incentivized chests, it rewards you kind of for bulk chest checking, and so I knew if I could get to the volcano, I felt like that had the strongest opportunity for me to find the floater. 33 chests. I knew I didn't have the tools to beat Carrie. Even if I had Ice 3 at 2, I knew Carrie's magic resist really wasn't going to... I would have had to luck into a win. And so when I found the tail in the armory, I was like, okay, I know I have Nuke at 5, just get a few levels and, whatnot. So once Volcano was a bust, I went to Ice because it was proximity and volume chests. And unfortunately, that was a bust. And I figured Ordeals over Earth just because I kind of enjoy checking Ordeals a little more than Earth. It may not be mathematically right, but at that point,
We have Quicklet finishing in 7th place with a time of 143.33.
it's going to be fine. One day the floater's going to be in Volcano and I'll be right.
You got enough chances, right? Pick your plan and stick with it. I made my choice and I stick with it.
If you've got a game plan, and this goes for Artea and Will Bloodworth, I know, who love the Earth Cave. If you've got a game plan, just stick to it and play your game, and that's all you can do.
Yep. Like, Files is going to go Ordeals, and Artea and I are going to go Earth. And when the move is there, it's there for you to capitalize on.
As we still watch Zelnop, the last remaining on-stream runner that hasn't finished yet, and he now encounters Lich.
Anyway, I'm going to step out so some of these other guys can get in here. So GG to Artea, GG to everyone who finished above me, and let's cheer on the rest of the guys.
Good game, Swartzando. Thanks for stopping in.
GG. And now we're joined by Quicklet. GG.
GG.
So take us through your routing a little bit. How long did it take you to find the floater?
Quite a while. I went to Volcano first, and then Castle Ordeals, where I found the ruby, which made me decide to try Earth Cave. But of course, I went and turned in the ruby first.
Yeah, turning in the ruby is a bit of a safe play, right? Because then you got your bases covered whether or not the floater is above or below the vampire. How are you supposed to know?
Yeah, and I was really, really hoping it was past the vampire, and that I had gone to Ordeals before anyone else. But I think, I mean, my issue was it took me a very, very long time to get the TNT out of Marsh Cave. So I knew I was really far behind anyway.
And we're joined by Tristal now. GG.
Hey, GG. That was a hell of a run by Artea there.
Mhm.
Yeah, he set a pretty big breakneck pace. He made the decision, of course, to go, as many have guessed, to the Earth Cave right away, dove to the second floor. Will Bloodworth basically did the same thing, and that still didn't stop him from ending up quite a bit behind him. So if you didn't do that, you were basically never going to catch him.
Did they not see the ghouls with the death touch among everything else that was terrible?
Will not only saw them, he even attempted to check the Earth-locked room on the second floor with 2 party members dead, and then just kind of noped out of there. So, yeah, I guess it didn't phase them, is what I'm trying to say. But you're right, it was pretty terrifying to watch.
I actually didn't run into a ton of the nasty stuff until way later when I was finally on the Earth continent. I didn't notice the Great Wolf Lit 2. Didn't notice Ghoul Death Touch. A lot of that stuff I actually didn't even see until much later. I just went everywhere the wrong place early on.
So Marsh Cave had werewolves with Bane. It had spiders with Ice 2. It had ghouls with Death Touch.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to remember what else. I mean, it probably took me half an hour to get out of the Marsh Cave. I mean, I'm sure that's exaggerating, but it was completely ridiculous.
My canal split was actually pretty great. It was like for the canal split for me. So my early game was totally fine, but everything post canal was just terrible. I went to Volcano, then Ice, then Ordeals, then Earth. So that's just how it goes, I guess.
What was your canal split, Tristal? Tristal, what was your canal split?
Minutes 48 seconds.
What was 2040?
Sorry,
40.
You're cutting out a little bit at the beginning there.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. 16:48.
Oh, yeah, you smoked me by a good 5-6 minutes there. I wiped on the bottom floor to Scorpions.
To be fair, I might have been a lot lower level than you did when you got Canal as well. I think it was only level 5 still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's probably like 6 or 7 at that point.
And we're joined by Fuchsia Fantasy right now. GG. There's some Discord issues. We'll check back in a minute. Minochi finishing in 9th place with a time of 1:48.41.
Yeah, I'm watching my video. It looks like I got out of Marsh Cave right around 25 minutes.
Zalnop's going to grind some T-Rex here.
I was so happy to see a Group 8 fight at like Encounter 2 on the power cycle. I was like, oh god, we're having blue stakes tonight, maybe.
Yeah, it seemed the power cycle seemed to work out very well for leveling, with Group 1 being the first and Group 8 being the second.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The Peds outside Crescent. As soon as you got that airship, It was blue steak time.
So I'm trying to zap the T-Rex and not having a lot of success doing it.
Once I had the airship, I had all the levels I needed already. The PEDs were really easy. So I got to like 14 or 15, and I figured that was going to be good enough.
It seemed like you ran into a lot of PEDs after a power cycle going through the volcano second floor as well. And we're joined by Minochi now. GG, Mono.
GG, thanks. I got my mic muted. Sorry about that.
No worries. Mono, can you take us through your routing?
So I went to Volcano and then Ice and then Ordeal. Then got the Ruby. Picked up the floater inside of Earth. Got baned. So I got a warp out of Earth before I finished it off. So I went to sea.
Yeah, it seemed like for a lot of people, the Ruby was what pushed them to finding the floater. So whoever did Ordeals earlier than Volcano, it actually paid off a lot.
It's just so hard to justify doing that when it's not incentivized.
If you gamble Ordeal and then whatever you get there as progressions, even if it's like a Ruby or even Crown, you gotta go back and take it. Or else you're already behind. So your only choice is to keep on going.
Yeah, and I think that's something it's more evident in the Link to the Past randomizers, is that if you make a gamble, you have to finish paying it off. Like, don't get the green pendant and then never turn it in, that sort of thing.
Zelnop really getting caught up here with these Tyros and T-Rexes. Should probably have just said sayonara and made trucks for Lafane by now.
He's probably fallen into old habits of grinding for the Temple of Fiends later, which he's not going to have to do because he's only going as far as Phantom. 3 floors.
No, he's probably just like me. I just want to kill T-Rex and Tyros.
That's a shame.
He Zal-noped out of a previous fight, so it's not just blind hatred. There was some method to that madness.
God, it's time for the lunch rush. Oh no, Zelnop did not translate the slam.
Lupa? Me fail a feign. But that's impossible.
That's impossible.
So Zelnop just enjoying being a tourist in a strange land right now.
Ah, that's tragic.
Oh god. Lupa, Lupa, no.
God.
Why won't anyone talk to me?
Zelnop.
While we wait here, I'd like to take the time to thank Speed Gaming for hosting us once again after they hosted the bonus stream last night. It's a lot of fun. This is my first commentary on Speed Gaming, so I personally want to thank them for inviting me in. They're also hosting us again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The next Stage 4 race will be on Speed Gaming as well, which is a real treat. Their channels, Speed Gaming 1, 2, 3, and 4, are just packed with content. So I don't need to list it off for you. Lots of Link to the Past, Randomizer, and other amazing goodies. It's a great channel, and you're probably following it already.
So, Fuchsia, are you able to, have you sorted out your mic issue yet? Guess not. We'll check back in after Zelnop's next trip down the peninsula here. And well, of course, time for some blue steaks.
Quick.
And apparently the Light Warriors are members of PETA, people for the eating of tasty animals.
You say this, but I've never seen one of them eat anything. It's not like Sabin on the train when he's just like chowing down on all the ghost food and everyone's like, dude, what? No, these people aren't ever.
You work up an appetite suplexing trains.
I mean, it's definitely a good workout.
I mean, it's ghost food. It's like you ate nothing at all, you know?
Feels like I'm eating nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all. I challenge anyone to go back through the VOD and pick out all the Simpsons references.
Oh, what have we done?
Well, now that nobody grinds Agamas anymore, we don't even need Agama facts. You know, I feel like it's time for a new trend.
Wait, are those purple tyros poisonous? Kappa.
Now, if you cook them to a proper internal temperature, they'll turn into red tyros.
So they're worth less XP after you cook them?
Most of the nutrients just bleed right out, yeah.
Gotta be it.
So Zelnop down to one black mage. He's going to have to take a trip to Gaia, pick up the corpses. Hero run, though. Makes it all the way back up the peninsula.
Say what you will about privatized clinics, there certainly aren't any waiting lines. Alright, with the party back on its feet, he's going to be off to the Mirage Tower now. Might have done well to stay at the inn, but, you know, time is money.
So, time to pick one character back up again, and
Where's he going? Why didn't he go to Gaia?
I think he's kind of pissed off that no one in Gaia pointed out that maybe he should stay at the inn before he went back to Mirage Tower, so he was going to take his business elsewhere.
I'm not sure if it actually would be faster just because Gaia, the clinic, is so far away.
That is kind of cruel of them, isn't it? It's like, yeah, this is where people enter the town. We're isolated in the mountains. Oh, so when they bring their wounded, they have to carry his ass all the way to the very back.
Yeah.
I mean, you think they would at least, you know, when you get discharged from the hospital that you would be at full health, but clearly that's not the case here.
They got a long line of people waiting to be healed. They don't have a big inpatient floor. I mean, if you see the size of that clinic, there's barely even room to stand in the place.
Meanwhile, the inn is huge.
That's where everyone that goes to the clinic is supposed to go after.
It's the outpatient inn.
The outpatient ward, yeah. Alright, the blue dragon's no trouble for Zelma. He's ready to rock.
So the hospital considers stone poison a pre-existing condition and they won't treat it.
I mean, the guy's a doctor, not a sculptor.
Yeah, can you just add on some stone, chisel, and some muscles? It's probably easier than leveling up, right?
Zelnop in a bit of unluck with the encounter table being where it is now, but he's going to make tracks. The nice thing about the...
I hit the same encounter. It took, I think I counted, it took 45 seconds or so.
Yeah.
I got ambushed by it.
This one ain't pretty in vanilla, but sorcerers lose a lot of their edge when they don't have Death Touch. They don't have much else going for them, really.
Yeah, the Man-Cat Medusa formation is particularly rough when you get ambushed, because it's always 9 enemies.
And the hero run here. If you're learning the game and you're wondering what can I run from, what can I not run from, this particular room is easy. You can run from anything, including the legendary Warmack.
But if you bump into slimes, you should probably light them on fire.
Yeah, if you don't get rid of the slimes early, like that stuff can grow between the cracks and in the walls, and then it'll become a big problem.
Oh, so that's what happens. You end up, that's how they turn into scum and muck.
And mold later on, yeah.
Yeah, muck is just angry black mold.
You know how expensive it is to get in like a technician to clear that stuff out? It's awful.
It's pretty terrible.
Mhm.
And some Brack strats from Zelnop, so definitely going for the swag kill here.
Right on. Appreciate that.
Tiamat, certainly vulnerable to Brack. Not strictly necessary when you got all these charges of nuke. It might be better to just, take the high road here.
Alright. 3 nukes, we'll see how this works.
We know from the others that Tiamat hasn't posed too much of a threat to anybody, so just blasting away is probably all it takes. It may have behooved Zelnop to at least haste his ninja to give him a better shot here, or fast him, if you will.
I don't think any of the fiends cracked 1,000 hit points.
Yeah, they seemed pretty tame with the exception of Carry 1, but once you were able to get Nuke, she wasn't too much of a problem either.
Yeah, the reality of the randomizer is if a lot of the deadly skills and spells get shuffled into the earlier game, which is more likely because most of the endgame enemies have the worst stuff, you're going to have an easier endgame by virtue of the fact they no longer have those skills that got shuffled away from them. So if you can turn it up into high gear as you get all the extra charges and equipment, a lot of the time the second part of the game can blow by really fast.
As long as you're not running into, stun touch pirates, you're doing okay.
End game stun touch pirates.
Yeah, pretty much.
And now it's a short sprint to the Phantom. Sort of the gatekeeper. It's considered an official boss by some because it's a trap tile you can't avoid. But it is a fight you can fight over and over and over again, like all the trap tiles in TOFR.
So Zelnop not electing to reset before diving into TOFR and misses the worms and the Frost Giant Frost Wolves, but ends up with Gas Dragons instead. So it seems like it's going to work out a little more efficient unless he runs into some more Gas Dragons on the way through.
Who's still running the seed? Is it Zarnax?
Zelnop.
Yep,
No,
Zelnop and Zarnax.
Zarnax is in the race too, I just didn't see him finish.
And speaking of finishing, Zelnop is done.
GG Zelnop.
At the time of 2:03:53. So there is one person left in the race, Zarnax 42, and they're currently headed up the Mirage Tower right now, with Tiamat being the last fiend to go. So we'll see if Zelnop wants to come in for an interview. In the meantime, any final thoughts about the way the seed went from any of you that are still here? We'll start with you.
Sure. Well, I I'm wondering how I'm going to win any of these races because I don't tend to be I'm not, like I keep saying, I'm not a speed runner. Everybody keeps trying to tell me that, yes, you are, Will, but I'm really not. I'm a challenge runner. So this is a very speedrun intensive seed now that Phantom is the goal. And that being the case, it's get floater, get slab, get going, and get through it. And that's really not what I'm geared for best, but I will give my best effort to try to get those triple zeros that I couldn't get last round.
And we're joined by Zelnop right now. GG, Zel. Looks like your mic is muted. There we go.
GG.
Take us through your routing a little bit. I'm guessing you found the floater. It took you a while to find it.
Yeah, I went to Volcano first, and I was going to try and clear the whole thing at when I was there, but I wiped on Carry, so I saw everything in Volcano, so I knew the floater wasn't there, so I decided to head to other places, like Ordeals, and it was not at Ordeals, so then I went to... But I did find the ruby at Ordeals, so that's what led me to Earth Cave finally, was I went ahead and did the ruby, and I got the rod so that I could try Earth Cave all at once, which didn't work. But I did find floater, so then I left and got the... Yeah, I went to Volcano first, and I was going to try and clear the whole thing
after floater and presumably the free chests, where did you head after that?
Carry, so I saw everything in Volcano, so I knew the floater wasn't there, so I decided to head to once I got the floater, like Ordeals, and at Ordeals, so I ran around, but I did find the ruby at Ordeals. So I did end up going to Ice Cave, actually before the free chest, which halfway down I'm like, oh my gosh, because I found the tail somewhere. I think the tail might have been Ordeals. But I did find floater, so then I but I had the tail. So I was going to class change as soon as I got the airship, and then I totally forgot.
Tail was in Volcano, by the way.
Yeah, Volcano. And so I went to Ice Cave, and I got a couple levels off the eye because I still felt I was pretty weak. I should have grinded on the peds a little bit more since they were the first encounter. So I went to Ice Cave and then ran around some more. Then Waterfall. I went and got the bottle and then did Waterfall and Sea Shrine and found the slab. I was going to check Mermaid Floor. The chest before Mermaid Floor had the slab. So, and then I forgot to turn in the slab, as you guys probably saw. So
we may or may not have had a couple of laughs at your expense about that.
I joined the established company of Meow, so
the poor Lupa club. Will also a member. I think most of us are, although anyone that says they're not is a dirty liar.
Yep. I joined last night. I was already a member, but I re-upped my membership last night after solid 6 hours of running this race.
I was trying to create a time-traveling dinosaur so that I could say I created a time-traveling dinosaur, but it didn't work, so...
Yeah, this is not a Chrono Trigger speedrun here, bud.
I know, but it was still fun trying to zap the T-Rex.
All right, probably about time to wrap this up. So let's start with Fuchsia. Any last words? May have been too late for Fuchsia. Manochi?
Any words at all?
Let's hope the floater is not in Earth anymore. 2 in a row now. I need it to be somewhere else. I will always check Earth last, so if it's in there, I'm screwed. That's pretty much it.
Luck is in your favor. It shouldn't be there too often. Quicklit?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat, actually. I hate going to Earth. One of these times it's going to be in Volcano first.
It's likely. It's likely. Just stay confident, stay positive. You'll find it there. It's a mother beautiful floater, and it's going to be there. That's it's another reference that dates me. I apologize. Will?
Yes, sir.
Any final thoughts?
No more than I already had. I want to get my 000s that I didn't get last round, and I'll try to rewire myself to be a better speed runner and less of a challenge runner.
Yeah, I think the fun of the league is that it does encourage people to try different things that they're not used to. For some, it's speedrunning. For others, it's doing really grueling challenges. For some, it's something a little more wild, like an opal bracelet hunt, or the one where we're going to be hunting for the AoE items for the thief later on. So the variety is part of the fun, I think, and I hope people embrace that and see that there's more than one way to play this game, too. So I'm looking forward to it. And Zelnop.
I just need to practice more. I'm a little bit out of practice. Haven't ran as many races as I'd like to, but yeah, Floater and Earth is kind of annoying, and it is interesting running with 3 Black Mages, though. It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be, so that was pretty fun.
Yeah, I think the 3 Black Mages bring a lot of heat, so that's a lot of entertainment, and it works pretty well on all the feet and fights early on. You can usually get away with just nuking them. I'll throw it over to Edge for the last word after I once again thank Speed Gaming for inviting me in to commentate on this race tonight. I had a lot of fun. All these racers, they deserve your follows. They deserve your attention. They work really hard to put on a great show, and I think they've done so again tonight. And tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, we have the next race also on Speed Gaming. And Edge, the last word is yours.
All right. Just to add on to that, so next up on the Speed Gaming channel, there's some Super Metroid Randomizer coming up. So if you are into that, please stay tuned. And that's about all that I have. Thanks to Czar for picking up some of the tracking today as well.